Hi everyone. So my name's Toni. I run my own private practice, and one of the things that I'd like to just discuss with no edits, no corrections or anything like that, I'd like to bring more of a human nature to it. As you could probably notice with my voice, this is not my normal cup of tea, not something I generally do, but I'm trying to kind of get the word out there about people avoiding counselling, and a lot of the reasons for that is because they have a lot of fear around doing counselling. The content that I'm going to discuss with you is purely based on my own interpretations of conversations with people, and that I just want to kind of bring more of a natural element to this type of thing and the discussions that need to be had around the stigma and things like that with counselling. So I run my own private practice. It's called Talk with TJ. You'll find links and things like that below the video that you'll find afterwards once you finish watching. So as I say, it's a complete run through, no edits. If I screw up, I'm going to screw up. But that's me just being me and being honest. So if we look into things that stop people from going counselling, I think one of the main contributing factors is the fact that there's timing. A lot of people don't think that counsellors work of an evening or weekends or anything like that anymore. They do. Counselling is not a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job for a lot of us. We do offer later days. Some people work weekends only. So there is that availability out there if you want to have a nosy through like some of the directories. Or for instance, I offer from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that's, it's a big chunk out of the week in regards to it being long days, but I need to be there when my clients are available. So that's why it kind of works in that respect. It accommodates for lots of people that do like shift patterns and people that have got children. Some people do it when children are in bed, or after the school run. It's really about things that managing things and going around everybody else's life, because let's face it, it isn't the easiest thing to do in regards to self preparation, let alone having timings being an issue. So one of the other points that people don't like to access counselling for is fear of judgment. So judgment by the counsellor, judgment from other people in regards to you don't need counselling. Counselling's, it's frowned upon. It's a call for help when all else fails for a lot of people. But some people see it as weakness. Personally, I see it as having an open and honest conversation with someone that's completely separate from your life. Someone that has no biases in regards to siding with one person or another. Doesn't judge you for any actions or anything that you've done, or any ways that you feel. So there's that element of it. So a lot of people won't go through fear of judgment and through the stigma associated with requesting help. Another one of the points is accessibility. So that's perhaps not a phrase that everybody's used to. What it means is being able to access counselling. Things that can prevent you from accessing counselling could be your fear of technology, if you want to use it online counselling. And suddenly there's a website and Zoom and all these other things that you suddenly don't know how to use. Well, counsellors will help support you to a certain extent to use the platforms that they use. So I personally use an online platform that I send a link out for. All you need to do is pop in your name, accept the use of the service, and that's it. That's it, you're in. So that's what I personally use. It's an end-to-end encryption, so everything is kept safe and secure. So there's no fear around, or there's no issues around the conversations being interrupted or information going anywhere. That's what the end-to-end encryption's like. So use of technology, that's a major thing for a lot of people, especially older generations or even younger generations that don't really use these types of services. Next up, accessibility also covers things like mobility. Can you find a counsellor in your local area that's not up a flight of stairs? If you've got issues moving up and down stairs, for instance. Is there someone that is going to be there to help if you need help up and down the stairs? All these types of things are things that you can discuss with a counsellor. They will do their best to meet your needs in that sense. At the end of the day, they're there to help you. And if that means that there's some slight adjustments that need to be made, then that's what we'll do. I offer a walk and talk service, which does require a certain amount of mobility. And for some clients, I do a risk assessment and check out the areas to ensure like there's no steps, there's no steep hills. I allow for fitness and things like that. So you take into consideration the ability of your clients, whether they've got physical restrictions or it's a general health issue. It's something that we will talk about together and consider that moving forward. So that's in terms of ability. So we've covered the technology aspect and I say ability, there we go, I'm screwing up already. Accessibility. So we're talking about the technology side and we're talking about the ability to actually get to a location. So there is the physical ability of a person, but then there's also consideration, is it on a bus route? Can a taxi get there? Can you go there via train? Are these sorts of options available? And that's something that counsellors will take into consideration when choosing their premises as well. So that's something to bear in mind if that's something that's putting you off going to counselling, is perhaps your ability to get there. Another point is cost. Let's face it, this day and age, everything costs money, right? So counselling can be accessed free through certain charities. So if you are struggling with something that has like a specialist sort of area, you can contact some local charities around those sorts of areas and communicate with them. You may be able to get a limited number of sessions. So that is an option. Personally, I offer low cost counselling, so my pricing starts at £40. I kind of offer a scale, so it's anywhere between 40 and 50. Pay what you can during that, and if there's ever any issues with that, it's always worth having a discussion. Talk about it, because we're here to support you. So if you're struggling for a bit, it's worth talking about it. We don't want to see clients struggle even more because of financial commitments. It's more about the commitment to your well-being than the actual financial commitment. I'm sure some sort of arrangements with lots of people out there, or you can come to arrangements with lots of people out there if you do just have that conversation. So cost aspect, there are some free services, there are some higher end pricier services. I'd like to stay at the lower end personally because I feel that everybody should be entitled to counselling and that money shouldn't be an issue in that sense. So that's part of my accessibility, is that for finance is that it's on the lower end of the scale. Okay. Some people don't know what to talk about in counselling. And when I say don't know what to talk about, not that their issues are not at the forefront of their mind, but more along the lines of what can they talk about? So, can you talk about the fact that years ago you did something that was a little bit questionable? Yes, you can talk about that. Can you talk about things that people in your normal day-to-day life might disagree with or judge you for it? Yeah, you can talk about that stuff too. With counselling, the idea is that it's a safe space for you to be able to express what you feel. So, you know, if you don't feel like spending the weekend at the mother-in-law's, then you can talk about that too, without the risk of upsetting a partner, for instance. It's a lovely example. I'm sure I'll get grief for that one. But there's, other points. So where it's a case of confidentiality, these are the only times that we break confidentiality, is if there is a serious risk of harm to yourself or someone else, like you are threatening to harm someone else, that would be a case of breaching confidentiality, because that is, someone's at risk then. So that's something that does need to be prioritised, especially if, for instance, you're having suicidal thoughts. You can discuss suicidal thoughts, absolutely fine, and discuss in detail, because that means you've got somewhere to put that. You can talk to counsellors about that in a lot of detail with all your emotions attached to it. And we would welcome that, purely for the fact that we're able to support you through the hard times that you're struggling with there. So fear of confidentiality, fear of getting authorities involved and things like that, it's only a breach if there is an immediate risk of harm. So if you are having suicidal thoughts, a risk assessment would be completed with you and next steps or support put in place for you. But again, with confidentiality breaches, they will be discussed with you first of all. When you meet with any counsellor, they will have an exclusions list for confidentiality. They will talk this through with you, and they may give you reminders on the way through too, as to what's classed or what has to stay confidential and what can be breached for. There are certain other exceptions, like discussing with a supervisor. So a supervisor in the counselling sense is that they are there to support the counsellor and in turn support the client, so you, whoever. They're there to offer guidance if the counsellor is unsure where to go or how best to support you. So in turn, they are there to support us, to support you. When communications are had with supervisors, there's no identifying features still, so that still remains confidential. If someone was to be concerned about the well-being of a client, they would go to their supervisor and discuss it with them. So no decisions are made independently. It is a case of we need to make sure what is best for the client. So that's what's best for you. So supervision. There is the legal requirement. So in terms of legal requirement, you do need to make sure that you have to report any acts of terrorism. So if there's a risk, serious risk, we need to address that. And like if someone's planning on doing something, that needs to be confidentiality breach for that. And things like money laundering as well, or something where someone is at serious risk, as we mentioned. But yeah, if you are ever concerned about disclosing something with your counsellor, do have a think about it. At the end of the day, our aim is to make you feel safe and to support you as an individual. So if there is something that does put yourself or anyone else at risk, that's something we would discuss with you and with supervision, just to make sure that we are looking after you and others at the same time. Okay. So we've looked at fears of judgment, where you might feel like other people are going to judge you for it. And we've looked at stigma, in terms of how other people see counselling. So another point that I'd like to raise is, what does a stereotypical counsellor look like? Does this look like one? Our hands up, my stereotypical counsellor I thought was a cardigan wearing, book collecting kind of person. Very highly educated, very in tune with that side of stuff. I don't fit into the stereotype. Not my version of my stereotype anyway, but everyone has a slightly different take on a stereotype. So I would say that stereotypes aren't truly reflective of the individual that you work with. So in terms of me, I'm not cardigan wearing. I do like to have a drink. I have got tattoos. And I do have a family. And of course, one of my key points, I do love to ride motorbikes. But these are not what a lot of people think counsellors do. So counsellors are human. They will have their own hobbies. They will have families. They will have things that you might not have even considered. But as a counsellor, they will have something individual to offer to you. Here's another point on why people don't like going to counselling or think that they can't say in counselling. Language. Can you freely express yourself in the language that you want to? Do you want to swear? You can swear. This is not a place for being professional all the time. So the idea is that you build a relationship with your counsellor. And if your counsellor knows that you like to use certain swear words, they will match it. They'll use your words as an example when reflecting back to you, repeating back to you. And sometimes that helps to know that it's okay to swear and to give your opinions on things. You know, what makes you mad? What infuriates you? You can express that using the language and terminology that you want to. There is no counselling room etiquette in regards to that. They know you're human. They are human. And it's two humans meeting in a room together. So I'm just trying to think off the top of my head now, because as you can probably imagine, I'm talking a little while. I'm trying to work out what other barriers there are to counselling. Now I'm going to say that this is going to look really professional because I don't have notes wrote down. I don't have anything to hand, which I can kind of like think on. But yeah, there's a lot of fear around judgment. There's a lot of fear around not being normal. That's a major one. I'm not normal and no one's going to see me as normal. Nobody can define normal. So the way I look at it is, you're an individual. That's it. You're an individual. You've got your own baggage, you've got your own stuff going on. You are unique as a person. Everybody is. Okay, so we've looked at cost, confidentiality, timings, fear around judgment, accessibility. Is there anything else that kind of stops people from accessing counselling? I think there could be a point around no, it's gone. Thought popped in, thought popped out. But yeah. So I'm going to wrap it up here because I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. But if you are struggling and you would like to talk to someone, you can look me up at talkwithtj.com. As I say, links will be down the bottom. But I'm an integrative counsellor. I draw on 4 different approaches. And sometimes I even set homework. Oh no, it's like school all over again. I'm kidding. Everything like that is optional. But yeah, so thanks for watching. Hopefully this has been informative. But yeah, I would say enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.